Humans, what have you learned? It was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? It was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you.
But here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Hello, and welcome back. It is going to be an incredibly interesting night here once again for FRLT 4s. Yes, we return here tonight. It's going to be incredibly interesting. We've got a full grid as well along with us, which is very nice to have. I think we're just waiting on 4 drivers. I think it's going to be an incredible night. We come to, of course, the home track of Silverstone, of course. Here it is. Quite a long track. Of course, a very favourable track. Ultimately, there are only 2 DRS zones across this very, very interesting circuit. Ultimately, as you can see, I'll put on the track map. Quite a twisty, turny circuit. 5.891 kilometers, 3.660 miles, 18 turns, 2 DRS zones. Down onto the Wellington Straight and the Hangar Straight. We're still waiting on a few drivers for the moment. I think we've got... Yes, so we're still waiting on, I believe, 3 or 4 more drivers to join. Let's have a look at ultimately the calendar for the championship. We've now completed Bahrain, Qatar, Netherlands, China, Monza, Spain, and Saudi Arabia as of latest. And now for round 8, we go to the home race of Great Britain. Yes, we're now going to be having these last few races in a row. It's going to be incredibly interesting to see how this is going to go. Very excited. Going to be pretty interesting to see how tonight's going to get on. A few drivers left. I believe we've got a driver or 2 waiting still to get in. I'm just sending some invites, by the way. But we're on to the final 3 races of the season. A bit of a change as well all round. I do apologise. I'm just having to try and invite some of the last few people to the lobby, and then we'll be all good to go. But as you can see, the teams and the constructors, TIR continue to lead, improving their lead last race actually. now to 22 points in the lead of the constructors. That's then followed by POR, who had a very rough race, only gaining 22 points in their race, going up to 210, second team to surpass. We've also had ultimately our sixth team to surpass 100 points this season. SET also find themselves off the bottom of the constructors and up to 7th now after their brilliant finish in Saudi Arabia. This is also added by a great finish for XPG, P1, P2, and P3 under rather controversial circumstances, but they still bring themselves back up into contention of the championship and hopefully for top 3. We're still waiting on some drivers at the moment. I believe we are waiting on we're waiting on a few more drivers. Once again, just a very interesting one. I do apologize. I'm just having to try and sort everybody into their roles because we've almost got everybody in. We're just missing one driver who I think I know who it is. Waiting at the moment. I think we're going to get going in the next minute. I am going to be joined in a moment by a good old colleague and a new commentator to the league, by the way. I'm going to be joined in the next moment or so. Just give me a moment because he's going to be coming in. Ultimately, I do apologize if his audio is a little bit off. I'm just trying to sort everything right now. A few people a bit late to the party here tonight, but everything should be sorted as tonight goes on. We've got our last driver joining. He has now joined. We're going to be readying up in the next few moments. There is going to be a driver on his own for SET in a random car. He's going to be boosted. Okay, so our good old, my co-com for tonight is now getting everything together. He's now here. His internet died, by the way. But we're about to go into qualifying. It's an 18-minute qualifying followed by a 26-lap race. But I have to return to the standings quickly. And I know you've seen it quite a bit. But I have to say HDL... they're not walking away well. They went with a hat-trick of victories in their lobbies in China, then, of course, in Monza, and then followed by Spain. You know, that hat-trick of victories really brought them into title contention, but they're not. They didn't race back in Saudi Arabia, and they're not racing again here tonight. This is really going to lose them their title race, their title chance here tonight. And I'm really afraid for them as well because, don't get me wrong, they are... an absolutely brilliant team, and they've shown their commitment and their pace generally absolutely just amazing. But as we're about to get into the race, it is raining. It is raining here tonight. Ooh, okay. It is raining. This is interesting. We've got rain here in Silverstone for I think the first time in fours we're actually having rain during a race, which I do believe is the first time we're actually having this season, which is quite interesting. Yes, everybody is in their cars. They're going to be getting ready very shortly. And we are onto a pole screen, which is beautiful. Beautiful pole screen, of course. We love to see the pole screens. Going to be interesting to see how it goes tonight. We've got a full grid, of course. One driver and all of that is not part of the same team, and I believe it is I'm trying to figure out who it is. I actually don't know who it is. I believe that is, yes, this is the SCT driver down in the good old position of 17th, who is the odd one out. I believe, TJ, you are here. I do believe, I think so. I think you should be here. I have to see in the next few moments. Nobody heading out on track just yet. I do apologise for the pause screen. Do apologise for the pause screen, everybody. I'm just going to get some audio on. Hello, TJ. Welcome.
What's your EA name?
So, here tonight, nice to be joined alongside by you. Sadly, we don't have a comms graphic with your name on it.
Yeah.
Maybe next season. Maybe you're present next season. Interesting qualifying. It's in the rain. I mean, full-on rain. It's not just a little bit. It is full-on wet conditions. Maybe setting us up for a wet race as well would be interesting to see. First time in fours we would have had this. One driver who, one team that needs a big night, of course, is AERO. They had a complete wipeout in DNFs. Of course, they very much heavily called it the team of XPG's fault. Cards are a little bit switched tonight. So I'm kind of trying to work my way around, by the way, for just everybody. I'm trying to work my way around with who's got different cars here tonight. TIR, I believe, are in the Saubers. And I think they're still in the RBs as well. I do believe they're still in the RBs. It's all switched around a bit. I do. But also XPG are also in the RBs. It's so confusing here tonight.
Right.
So, Smithy, he's going to be the first driver. Quite a few drivers actually coming out on track already here in qualifying. Quite interesting to see, sort of, this early on, that everybody's coming out this sort of early in qualifying. Just need to lower settings slightly.
Could I receive an invite, please, mate?
Okay, have you added me? Big question.
Hello, Travis 07. I should have you from before.
Okay, let's see if you're on here. What is your game tag?
LR Travis 07 or ART_Travis.
Let's try find you, because this game has not been nice. I can't find you. Just re-add me. Just re-add me, and then it should work. Smithy starting his lap. He's on his way round. Let me send this invite quick, and then we'll look at the next person who is on a lap. Scrolling down the long list of people I have, which I should generally shorten this list at some point. Let's try and find you down the list. Holy, I've got way too many people. Let's see. Are you offline, potentially?
No, I don't think you can appear offline on Steam.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm still struggling to find you. How can I find you?
Why can't you find me?
I think if you join through my Steam, Steam, that should work.
Alt tab.
Ultimately, Robbie Jacobs does retire for POR because he was a late reserve. I do apologise for missing basically the entire lap with this man. We're going to watch Gioni on his lap for LR in the Aston Martin here tonight. A little bit different racing colours, of course, in the racing green team and the local team. To Silverstone into ultimately the village section. As he makes his way through, you can see the Aston Martin getting some pace. He's getting chased down by an Alpine at the moment, so he's kind of trying to run a little bit at a decent pace. He's sliding quite a bit, almost going completely offline there, almost getting invalidated. His sector 1, not too bad. First lap time set, Smithy, 1 minute 39. He's now coming round through the next few corners. He went through Woodcut, now he's heading through the next corner. Luffield, I was there at Silverstone in real life this year at ultimately the corner of Luffield. Now making his way up through the rest of the lap. Let's see what he's going to do into The fastest corner on the track. He goes very wide, very wide. He actually moves out the way. He knows he's done. Kuchar's is on his lap. Josh Rose has just set the fastest lap. He's gone a little bit faster, only 300ths faster than Kowski in, ultimately, Bielkowski in second place. I believe that is the AER road driver who's in the Haas. I believe it is Haas that are taking up the AERO still. Yes, they are. Now heading round Stowe corner. Kuchar's putting together a decent lap. Let's see. Let's run on board with him. Len goes even faster for LR. He finds about a second in the lap time, so he's a lot faster. He's a lot faster for them. Now coming round, Kuchar's goes P2, almost into a 1 minute 38, but he just misses out on that. Close enough for the Alpine. Who else is on a lap? Who else is quite late on a lap? Trying to find somebody. Sten just goes P3. He just jumps ahead of Josh Rose there. I think we just saw Gioni cross the line. He's gone slowest. Who else is crossing the line? The next driver is actually Clips. Let's see how he's going to make his way round. Are you in the lobby?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, all good. Now making his way round through now the end of the lap. It's only P11 for the Williams driver. Disappointment, I think, there for LR a bit, fastest. Then they're a bit. Then the rest of his teammates a bit further behind. Smithy has just gone faster as well because he's just gone P2. Was he P2 or did? Sorry, no. Bush just went P4. That's what I saw change. Smithy, I think just improved on his lap as well because I don't think he's on a fast lap. No, he actually is. It's quite interesting to see, though, here in qualifying, of course, sort of rain conditions. The rain's getting lighter, though. So maybe will we see a change when it comes down to compound of tyres? So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the race. Wait, can I hold up? This Haas is on a lap now. Is he going to pit? No, he's not. He's gone past the pits. Here he gets going into the final corner. Is it fast enough to put him for his own pole? No, it's not. He goes fourth, though. A solid lap from Kirill Yasko for Aero.
Very solid. Sort of what they needed, especially after last race. Of course, that 4 DNFs really hurt them last race. A whole wipeout of their cards, shall we say.
Oh, F1 Smithy goes provisional pole with a 138.3, 3/10 faster than P2.
Very solid there from Smithy. Exactly what he needed to get together there. Only thing that, of course, we're looking for is, are they going to dip into the 1 minute 37s? And I think they're probably going to dip below that because you can see the dry line has really appeared on track, especially where Smithy is in that first sector. The dry line is fully there and the rain is slowing down. I think it's probably intermediate conditions about now. Even we see Smithy again improving by 1/10.5 in the first sector. I think we're going to be seeing possibly some dry weather or most likely intermediates.
I don't reckon it'll be dry for this session, but inters definitely.
I do agree with you there. I think dry. I think my opinion of dry, the hope of changeable conditions in qualifying would be interesting. But I think the one thing here is when do you go to the intermediates? Because you don't want to go too early, and especially if the rain. Because we don't know. I don't know. We don't know whether the weather's going to be wet during the race, or it's going to be partly dry and wet, or it's just going to be completely dry. Kuchar's going fastest, beating his teammate. Very strong. I said about them reaching the 1 minute 37s very soon, and they are doing that. And what's surprising, they're doing that on the wet tires as well. So I think, I was thinking sort of 1 minute 38s is where they're going to stay with the current set of tires. As you can see, Smithy, he can't actually beat his teammate's time. He only improves by just over 1/10.5 to a 1 minute 32, 1 minute 38.2, which I think is clearly showing that that some drivers aren't exactly getting through the amount of lap time that sort of some others are getting. Bush, of course, we also saw improve. He went to a 1 minute 38 point. And now Bushy Bush, by the way, P2 jumps Smithy, and into the 37 he goes, but still finding himself near on 2/10 behind the Alpine at the moment, sandwiched between Alpines as well. It's an interesting sort of position. I think we find that a few drivers are in. We see Len sort of sitting in P4. He's quite far off. And we're sort of seeing who's on inters, who isn't. And talking about inters, let's actually have a look at the tyres on who's on what. Everybody is now coming out on intermediates. I think a lot of people are coming out on intermediates. Who's furthest along for intermediate lap? It is actually Len. Len is going to be the first one. Let's see how much he improves on his lap. Let's run on board with the Aston Martin. LR needing another big points haul. Of course, they actually just reached exactly 100 points off of Saudi Arabia. So they've had a really strong time. You can see the sliding from the Aston Martin. I'm not sure whether that is purely him struggling to get used to the inters or whether the car is struggling. I think it's struggling a little bit with the grip at the moment. We haven't seen that from any of the wet tyres, but he has a second up. A huge second up as well.
He's already on pole.
Yeah, he is already. I think this is exactly going to be the thing here, is that he's already so fast in Sector 1. I think the intermediates is going to be the way to go. But what's interesting is, will these drivers, based off of the race, of course, they'll be going, do they want to go dry or wet? But based off of these lap times and how the cars are quite nicely performing in these wet conditions, I suspect we might be getting a wet race, and maybe we'll be having a wet qualifying, and I think a wet race, because I just saw how Len took Maggots and Beckett's, and there's no way he is on a dry setup.
No, I mean he's a second, but improving this time even with that slide, which that obviously cost him a few temps.
Of course, these might be people's final runs unless they overfuel, which Len has slightly, as Tartar goes to a 1 minute 35. Massive lap time. That's beaten by Len immediately. Whoa, 1 minute 34.820 is the new time to beat. Holy. Bush finally coming in. Rusted Bolt is not improving on his lap, actually. He's struggling on the inters. Who's coming across the line next? It's a Mercedes. It's Alexander Delnick. He's not on a lap. Josh Rose isn't on a lap either. Do we have a Red Bull that's on a lap? Because I see a Red Bull somewhere.
We have a Haas.
That is Kiyosako, I believe. Yes,
Bialkowski.
Oh, Kowski. Let's find him. Bialkowski. He's on a lap. He's on those intermediate tyres. I think everybody's going to those intermediate tyres. But for the drivers who ran later into this qualifying session, they might have a problem that, when they've ran later into qualifying with the wet tyres, these guys could be getting just one run in, returning to the pits and setting another lap time. So maybe that research on the sort of intermediates, getting used to them, might have disappeared for some drivers here, especially for the ones who stayed out long on those wet tyres. But what I'm seeing from Bialkowski here is that he's struggling with understeer quite a bit in his car. Yeah. He's struggling a lot with understeer. He's P11 at the moment, so he did struggle a bit. He does go P2. 2/10 off, though. Still 2/10 off of the fastest time at the moment. So there's still some time to be found. Clips is next. I still think it's quite interesting to see how some drivers are struggling in these conditions more than others. I think the drivers who have obviously made their setup probably more around the intermediate weather definitely is coming in helpful here. As we could see, Clips, you see there, even Clips, he's exactly 9/10 off of provisional pole. So there's a bit of me going, maybe Len's lap was just incredibly strong. And that's what you get with an incredibly strong lap, as Alexander Delnick now goes P3. Very strong there. We got an Alpine on an out lap. I think his teammate is next to cross the line, and that's Josh Rose. Yes, he is. He's going to cross the line, and he's going to go fastest now. Absolutely amazing lap time.
Good lap from there. Just did.
Very strong. Very, very strong here today. Hello, Timon. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing well. Hope you are as well. Ultimately, I have to say, it's quite interesting to see that the lap times are quite varying. I mean, we've just seen Tondes cross the line. He's still in the 1 minute 35.4. So he's still just over a second behind the fastest time. So the more I think about it, the more I'm sort of going, is the track drying? Or is it just that some drivers are just performing better? Because not everybody's doing brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, driving in the wet intermediates has always been tricky. Some people are better at it than others. It's just one of those things you're either good at or you're awful at.
Very true, to be honest. Very true. And I think it's really showing, especially with Josh Rose and Len, who are both sort of... Len's a bit closer to the rest, but Josh Rose really proving himself as a contender for whatever he's going to get at the moment. We got...
I mean, more the Williams improved now, going into the final corner.
Let's see. Crossing the line. Only a 35.6. Quite interesting to see. He does beat his teammate, but only slightly faster. So something interesting is definitely going on. I think we got Kuchars, who's crossing the line, who's just crossed the line. He's gone P2, by the way. So he can't beat Josh Rose on his magical lap. We've got to look to P10 Kuchars, who's going to come across the line. He goes fastest.
Oh, Jesus. Like 8, 9 tenths? 8 tenths?
7 tenths. Holy. Very, very fast.
There's like 7 tenths between P1, P2, 4 tenths between P2, P3.
And we're seeing some more drivers cross the line now to start some laps. So I think we're going to be seeing some interesting things happen here. Z6 is crossing line. He's going to go P7. The lap times are coming down, but that is one hell of a lap time from Kuchars, because we've just seen some drivers who've literally been within like the last, 20 seconds of him crossing the line, and they weren't getting those lap times. They were still being like a second off of Smithy and Josh Rose. They were still finding themselves quite far away from...
And I just mentioned, Kirill Yasko has came out on softs. He is the only driver to do so.
That's risky. That is very risky.
That is very risky. He has gone off track.
Yeah, I think it's too risky, to be honest, in this weather. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's going way too wide.
Let's have a look. I'm trying to find somebody who's actually on a lap.
Len is on a lap.
Len, good old Len. Let's see where Len is. He's just started his lap, actually. Let's see how the man who... Smithy, by the way, just went P2 into the 1 minute 33s, but he's still quite a bit behind his teammate. It's been like that throughout qualifying entirely. He's been quite far behind his teammate. I'm trying to see the next driver crossing the line, and that's actually Tondis. So Tondis is making his way round now. Let's see how he's going to do on his lap. How does he improve? He goes P4. Pretty strong there. Looking to ultimately the man of Len's teammate, who is Gioni. Across the line.
He goes a 1:37.1.
Rusted Bolt, not too bad from him. We just saw Z6, by the way. P2. Jumping Smithy by just 1,000th of a second. He just jumped it.
Now crossing the line. He goes P5, just behind his teammate.
Not too, especially it's quite interesting to see that he's still behind his teammate Josh Rose, even though Josh Rose set his lap time sort of 3 minutes ago. Pretty interesting to see. Bielkowski coming up to the line next. He's up by about 9 tenths of a second. We could be seeing him jump up into the top 3 or 4. He goes fastest of all!
3.719.
What a lap time. Tartar Sauce, he goes into P5. Never thought I'd be saying that as a name. We got Saliba going up into P6. Incredibly strong. We got Len who's coming up.
The line. Fastest! A 1:33.3 there for Len. Jumping Bielkowski by 4 tenths of a second.
What a lap time. That is something to see. We can see Mehan only going P12. Yes, it is. It is qualifying.
Quali over.
And that is Len, your man, on pole position for LR. Pole position here tonight. Pretty interesting end. He's been, I think, to be honest, there was 3 drivers in for the chance of pole, and that was Len, Kuchars, and Josh Rose in my mind. Those were the 3 that were in my mind going, they're going to get pole. One of those 3. Josh Rose only finishes qualifying in 8th. Yet he did set his lap time with 3 minutes to go. But still, even with Kuchars there, Len completely destroyed that lap time, made it another sort of 3-4 tenths faster. Len really on a level of his own. So let's go through the qualifying order. Len is on pole position, followed by Bielkowski, 4 tenths ahead, 4 tenths behind, with Kuchars in third, Z6 in fourth, Smithy in fifth, Tartasaurus in sixth, Saliba in seventh, Josh Rose eighth, Alexander Delnick in ninth, and Tonnes in 10th. T.I. Trusted is in 11th, followed by Mehan in 12th, Rusted Bolt 13th, Clips 14th, Gioni in 15th, Bushy Bush in 16th, Kira Yasko 17th, Sten in 18th, Robbie in Osmi 19th, and in last is however you say that name.
GGNDI.
Yeah, we're gonna try and pronounce it impossibly, and we will never be able to pronounce it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think that we should just give up. So, who's your predictions to win this race?
Oh, that's difficult. Off of that, it's dry. It's dry for qualifying. It is dry for qualifying. So maybe Len. People want to restart. I'm very confused why people want to restart.
Same. There's no grid pens.
Yeah, there's no grid penalties.
Someone readied up.
Ugh.
Oh,
How fun.
idiot.
How fun.
That's okay.
Usual thing. I can't give lobby restarts for reading up too quickly because it's just a waste.
And then, yeah, because it's share an esports team who are in them cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And it's pedal to the metal. And it's go, go, go. Len gets a good start. The Haas also as well. He's not going to go down the inside. He backs off that corner now.
And that's a good move, and that's a good start from Len. He moves across to cover his line, and there's a bit of a spin in the background. That is a Red Bull. Pretty interesting to see further back. I think that was Tartasaurus who's actually dropping through the grid order. He's really struggling.
There's mayhem. There's mayhem. There's 4 cars. A Stake, a Haas, a Williams, and a Ferrari there. All collided at the back.
Absolute chaos off of the start. Bushy Bush making his move. Absolute chaos. I have no words for this. No words. Absolutely no words. But Bushy Bush up inside of the top 10 now. Moves happening everywhere. That start, pretty crazy. I think that almost rules out 4 drivers from any points at all unless there is a safety car. But we now actually look with Bielkowski at the moment, who is finding his lap time, who is finding himself incredibly close to the race leader, Len. He hasn't been able to break away like he did in wet conditions. But it's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to happen here tonight. Now, heading up the hill, Saliba, by the way, making the move work on his teammates for P4. Ahead, P4 and P5 at the moment for XPG here tonight. Pretty strong from the RB duo. Having another strong finish like they did last week. Not as strong, but still large points coming their way. Len, fastest lap as he leads, but Bielkowski is all over the back of him as AERO want this win and a return to the points here tonight.
I mean, the top 2 are on softs and P3 is on mediums there. Meaning that Kuchar will have to box later than them. And his tyres will be better towards the end of this stint. Bielkowski made a move on Len. Will he battle it back? No, he won't. No, they've just pitted.
No. There's good move there from Bielkowski. Exactly the move he needed. Like you said, they're on soft tyres, leaves them a little bit weaker. Of course, somebody did ready up early, so it could have been that, to be fair. But sadly, this is why I say wait till I ping people to ready up. Ultimately, Len making his way round with some decent speed. He's now got DRS, of course, on this year's game. It's lap 2, which is quite odd to have on this year's game. Now, making his way round into Stowe Corner. Unable to retake the lead. That Haas seems pretty quick on the straights, to be honest. Compared to Len. Len is a lot faster through the corners. I am noticing this. He's a lot faster through the corners. He's getting a lot better grip and better acceleration. Yet he is quite a bit slower down the straights. Like with DRS, he was carrying about the same speed as the Haas was, even with DRS. So he is struggling a bit when it comes down to top speed because he's slipstream. He's just about keeping up there now. Into Village once again. We've got a bit of a three-way fight. Kuchar's actually catching up on those medium tires. The softs go off rather quickly around this track, about maybe lap 8. Lap 8 to lap 12, I would say that the softs go off. As now, Len making the move back up into the lead of this race. Here on lap 3, a nice move from the Aston Martin, actually. But very quiet from everybody. No big moves going on. A lot of drivers just keeping their space. But look at this. Bielkowski attacking again. Bit of a wobble from the Aston Martin. Len has to leave space for the Haas. But the Haas does drop back and allows the Aston Martin to take the lead. As I don't think we want another Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton incident. Good move, though. Very strong move from Len, but these three are probably, I would say at the moment, the best in for this title. Oh, he's gone wide! Len has gone wide. He's made a mistake. This is quite a big mistake. Bielkowski's going to get a run on him, and that's going to easily give back the lead. Will the Alpine also get a run on him? No, he won't. He won't be able to make a move. I think that's a mistake from Kuchar's again, is that he's just finding himself a little bit too far behind after Maggots and Beckett, and I think that's the thing that's really losing him out, gaining positions in this race. And I think for the Alpine, it's just a waiting game of he's just got to try and keep within a second of the front two.
Yeah, he didn't get a warning for that, Len, surprisingly.
Surprising, but also not surprising.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't gain anything, and somebody's corner cutting.
Sten, first penalty of the night, 10-second time penalty. Sten retires, and he retires out on track, and it's a safety car. Holy.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Very, very true. Disappointing, of course, to have a retirement out on track, unless he's spun it, which I don't think he has, but his car isn't moving. His car isn't moving, so I think he might have retired out on track, to be fair. Let me have a look as we see as he goes around. Oh, the car isn't there, but I think he retired. I think he had a crash. I think he crashed. So, but now Bielkowski leads, followed by Len, followed by Kuchar. So really the top three not really changing. Or actually, I would say really the top 5 haven't changed altogether.
Yeah.
Josh Rose having a good start though. It was a strong start from him. Up 2 places. Saliba up 3 as well. Biggest gainer from this has actually been GG. He's gone up 7 places, followed by Bushy Bush, who's gone up 6 as well. So it's been quite an interesting one to see how he's. It's quite interesting to see how he struggled to sort of how he's made up places, and he's actually coming into the pits. Everybody's coming into the pits. Maybe
all the stuff.
And no mediums as well.
The McLaren's made a move.
Nice. Josh Rose is coming in. He's on mediums. So maybe these drivers think the hards will last them till the end of the race. I think they're going for that. I think everybody's going for the hard tyres to last till the end, or try and put on softs for the final stint. But Josh Rose has ultimately held up his teammate Alexander Delnick in the pits.
Mediums, hards.
Yeah, everybody's switching tyres. You can see Josh Rose leading that sort of hard tyre compound choice along with Kuchar's. But we could see 3 drivers have actually stayed out in all of this, and that's Bielkowski on the soft tyres, who's actually lagged behind Trusted for a second there. Trusted, who's also second, and Clips, who is third. Only 3 drivers staying out, and again, Bielkowski lagging quite a bit out on track, I must say. Everybody else coming into the pits, a few drivers who have already pitted because of crashes or stuff aren't coming in. I must say, interesting. We've had a pretty interesting period so far. I think.
What cars are the TIR in? The Ferrari and.
Yeah, I think some driver or two has hopped in the wrong car. The TIR guys are still racing. They're just in the wrong cars. I can see Paulos is not particularly happy with me. I can see he's not particularly happy with me. Thing is, they're still racing. And so, in my opinion, as long as they're racing it, their car might be taken, but I can't do a lobby restart. I can't do like a race restart and a lobby restart purely because somebody's in the wrong car.
Yeah, exactly.
It just takes time, and and it takes about 10 minutes, and to get people to change their cars too. So it'll take about 10 minutes to do that. So take a little bit too long.
Setups and all that.
Yeah. But anyway, when he asked, we were going into the race anyway. So it would just be, some drivers would be so confused. Ultimately, Bielkowski making his way round, leading another lap here in Silverstone. ARO on for a win, I should say, but they still haven't stopped, which is my only worry in this race. That everybody else has, except the top three, except one LR driver, or one TIR driver, and one AERO driver. All of these three haven't stopped. I believe they're all on softs as well, which is quite interesting to see. Len's also gone to the mediums. So what's interesting is how Len's come out P4 and he stopped. And I do think he'll have to stop again because the mediums only go till about lap 13 to 15 from the start to finish. So he will only make it to about lap 20, 21. And I think then they'll go to the soft tyres, which is saving these guys a pit stop. But it's a pit stop under safety car. So it goes from like a 20-second pit stop, 22-second pit stop. I think it's around 22, 24 seconds in the pits around this track to, a sort of, I believe it's something like a 11-second or 13-second gain. So so they've almost near on halved the amount of time in the pits, that time lost, and they've already caught up behind the safety car. They might have to stop again, but they could find themselves 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds in the lead. Len could find himself and Kuchar's that far ahead of Bielkowski and, of course, Trustin and Clips by the time the pit stops do come round.
Yeah, I just want to know what was going through the LR engineer's mind to make them not pit. I don't know if you're watching.
Maybe it's strategy. Safety car is in this lap. I think it's because everybody was coming in and they didn't want to double stack. I think a few teams have wanted that. The one that I'm a bit confused with is Bielkowski. That's the main one I'm confused with because he was leading. He was leading anyway. It would have made sense for him to come in first and maybe leave his teammate.
P4.
Yeah, he would have come out in front of Len. P3. He would have come out P3 because there would have only been two. So he would have been quickest to get into the lead and he would have been on the same set of tyres. But it will be Bielkowski who leads them away. Let's see when he wants to go. It's all up to him. He could control the pace. And let's see as he comes around. Saliba gets a 10-second time penalty for severe collision. We've seen this behind the safety car. There goes Bielkowski. He's going now. He's actually gotten a really good getaway from the rest. He's actually gotten halfway down the straight already. Not the best from Trusted, but Trusted is already catching up. We've seen the TIR drivers be quite quick. Alexander Delnick, by the way, dropping down the order severely. I believe he's just dropped from 12th down to 17th within one straight. So he's really had a bad getaway.
He just let them go past.
Maybe he's got some damage or a problem, so we'll have to see. Tondas gets a 10-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Quite odd.
Is it still a safety car?
It says safety car, but it's a game glitch. It is a game glitch. I want to make that clear. Okay. Len already up into P3. Look at how quick the mediums have just chopped past one soft tyre runner. Medium's a little bit cold, but, by the time that Luffield's come around, already Len's past one. He's only got, one more car before he reaches the man who he was fighting earlier on in the race for the win. And he's only got one car dividing them. And it's pretty scary to see it like that they, these guys have done their pit stops and they're already pretty interesting.
Len is right on the backside of that Ferrari.
Timon, what do you mean go start menu and then go back again? I'm very confused.
Go start menu?
Yeah, he's just saying that in chat. It's quite weird. Bushy Bush making his move up into P7. Quite different, quite interesting strategy. Smithy somebody's coming into the pits. It is Saliba. He's come into the pits now. He might be retiring. Who knows?
Retiring.
He might be. He hasn't yet, so maybe he's got some hope. Bielkowski, pause and what? Timon, what do you mean pause? I'm so man. He confuses
Pause and go off.
me.
I've already done that to try and remove it, and it don't work.
Yeah. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. No, not with me. It doesn't. It's been here for months since this game. Ultimately, Bielkowski still leads. Len's struggling to get past the Ferrari.
The move.
Big dive bomb. Big dive bomb down the inside. And actually, he holds it pretty nicely as well. But he's under attack again from the Ferrari. But again, the mediums just having that slight more grip than the softs, which are starting to go off. And I think lap 10 this time, lap 10, maybe lap 11 is when we're going to see the softs go off now. Because, of course, there's been that safety car. So maybe lap 10, I think we're going to see them really go off. But for Len, his mediums won't really go off until lap 18, maybe even lap 20.
Len needs to make a move before this straight. He's so slow on the straights.
That's the struggle, but you can see he's barely catching. He's catching now, but he's still not catching enough. He's going, you see, he's unable to make that move on the straights, and this is something that you need round Silverstone. You need to be able, it doesn't matter how late you can brake, and it doesn't matter how well you could turn. If you're not able to make the overtake down the straights, you're almost entirely incapacitated by that, unless you can make a move into Village, or of course Luffield, like we've seen Len do.
10 seconds, penalty, retire, yep.
Retirement from a Williams, disappointment. Huh?
LR, esports.
LR, disappointing. A disappointing one again for LR. Retirement, not what they wanted. Now, Len making his way around. He's got the DRS. This is going to be one of his easiest moves. He can make it really early. Len returns to the lead of the race, and it is an easy move down. Ultimately, the I can't even remember.
I can't remember whatever at that corner.
Luffield making his way around. He now leads out of Luffield. But one thing I've noticed is that the softs are actually keeping up behind the medium runners. They're struggling when they're leading ahead, but they're really keeping up during the corners. You can see, look at that, still only 3/10. I'd expect that to maybe be a half a second by the end of I'm forgetting every single corner. During Maggots and Beckett's, that's it. But you can see only a 10th gained through there on the medium. So obviously he's struggling. But look at how the Haas catches up to him. And look at this. Pretty interesting.
No.
He tries, but it's interesting to see that Bielkowski's finding it quite easy to make the move past the Aston Martin of Len down the straight. I think we noticed since the start of this race that Haas has been a lot faster down the straights and has definitely been on it a lot longer than Len. But you see through this Sector 1, Len's practically pushing the Haas through the corners throughout Sector 1 and sort of the beginning of Sector 2. But after that, when it comes down to straight line speed, the Aston Martin almost entirely gives up. And I think that's going to be a problem for him because you can see he's not gaining. Just using DRS alone, he's not gaining on the Haas. He's only gained about 600ths down that straight, down the Wellington straight, which is completely useless. You know, it's near on useless around this track to just gain 600ths when you've got DRS and slipstream. And this is the problem that he might be having, is that he's just struggling to make his way past the Haas. And he's going to come down to Copse, unable to make the move. But you can see he's pushing him round the corners. A little bit close. Bit of contact, but not enough at the moment. We're going to have to see as...
Is that another retirement from Kleber?
No. I don't think Saliba's coming in. Ultimately, now Len heading down the straight. Again, he finds himself a few tenths behind, but he's not gaining a lot. Look at that. Only halving the distance between him and Bielkowski by the end of the straight. Down that straight again, which is really odd to see. We've got some racing further back, though. We've got to look a bit further back because we've got some side-by-side racing. Tartarsaurus versus GG making his way. Oh, big collision. Gioni, and I think that was Robbie who made a contact. Robbie Jacobs who made contact there through the final chicane. Ultimately, I think that's a big moment to see between... Robbie's lost his front wing as well, and I think Gioni lost his front wing. On top of that, I think he has. Yes, he has. He's actually lost his front wing end plate. Len now finally retakes the lead of the race on lap 11. But look at that. He's gone a bit deep again. He's going a little bit deep into corners. Is he struggling a bit with leading the pack than sort of following behind? Because he's a lot cleaner. He seems to be a lot faster when he's behind versus when he's in front. The biggest lead we've actually had in this...
When will they pit, you reckon?
I think with the softs, it's going to be in the next maybe 2-3 laps, maybe lap 14 because of that safety car. Because usually it'd be about between lap 8 to 12 that they would pit. So I think 2 laps because of safety car. So I'd say sort of lap 12 to 14 is when we'll see the softs. But for the mediums, they might pit around lap 20 so they can get those soft tyres on at the end, which really does reduce the rest of the team's choices in their pit stops. As Kuchar's, by the way, making the move up into P3. He's waited behind these drivers for quite a while, hasn't he? He's waited for quite a few laps to get past them, especially to get past Clips and Trusted. He was waiting all the way till last lap on lap 10, actually, to make one move.
Racing here by the McLaren and Shedzix. Who's going to come out on top, going through the final corner? The McLaren gets the DRS?
Maybe. I do think Z6, interesting there from Z6. He's struggled. He had a decent qualifying, but he struggled a bit. He's not performing sort of where I thought he would. At the moment, he's in for P4, by the way. That's his net position is P4, but he's finding himself near on 5.5 seconds behind the top 6, by the way. That is how far they sit away. The rest of the grid sitting that far away from the leaders as Bushy Bush makes his move back up into P7. But you see what I mean? They're sitting so far apart. Oh, big dive bomb from Smithy going down the inside. Oh, that was near on a crash.
Yeah, he just sent that.
I have to say, he's a little bit too close there. But yeah, now 6 seconds. 6 seconds now dividing them. You know, these guys are really losing quite a bit of time to the leaders because they're now 6.2 seconds behind P6. Not the lead, but P6. As Bielkowski returns to the lead, I suspect he might stop this lap because look at how the mediums are chasing him down. Let's see, does he come in? Yes, he will. I think that's the reason why he made that move.
And the Ferrari. Does he have a softener? Clips does not pit.
Clips, interesting strategy they're going with there. He hasn't pitted in this race, and you can see he's struggling because he's dropping 7/10 behind. Josh Rose down the inside into Village. Very nice little move, Mercedes versus Williams. And ultimately, it's the Mercedes that comes out on top. And ultimately, Clips struggling, I think, now on his soft tyres, but he does still find himself now on 7 seconds ahead of the next pack.
Now it's Kuchar's hunting down Len. I believe that Kuchar's is POR.
Very true. He is POR. POR looking for a big finish, of course, here tonight. They need to beat their rivals.
P2 in them standings.
Yeah, they are. They're 20 points. They're what, 22, 20 points off? I think they're
21 points, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. But they need a big finish over, of course, the great team of TIR, who at the moment, they are having that finish over TIR. Trusted down in 16th.
He's lost 2 positions, Lenners.
Wide from Josh Rose. He ran onto the gravel there. We saw that in Tier 1 with AMS Sassoy a few weeks back, actually. As Z6 now makes the move for P5. Clips comes into the pits. But, yeah, I think we saw that with AMS Sassoy a few weeks ago when we raced round here in Tier 1. As there's some battling going on. Bit of contact going on as well further back. They're all battling over this position of P9. And they're slowly losing the chance at DRS.
Karen slightly goes off track.
Yeah, very interesting at the moment. I think it's not been a good pit stop. Clips down in 14th. Bielkowski in 15th. On his own, really. They're really on their own. Same with Trusted. But at the moment, I don't see TIR having a good finish. You can see Robbie goes down to 13th. He's gone off. He's had a crash, actually. He's lost a piece of his front wing. But as I was saying, Rusted Bolt, 12th at the, he's 12th at the moment. He's battling.
There's contact at the back there between the Stake and the Red Bull, Rusted Bolt and Tundy. I believe the Red Bull just sent it all the other way around and they just collided.
Yeah, I think it was just pure contact through the corner. I don't think it was anything malicious from either side. But like I was saying, TIR with Rusted Bolt, Trusted, all their drivers sitting out. 2 of their drivers sitting outside of the top 10, by the way. That's not good. Len retakes the lead of this race, by the way, ahead of Kuchar's, who leads just for 1 lap in this race. That's all he's led. It's just 1 lap. Smithy.
To see how these mediums will treat him.
Very much.
Some people behind him on the hards.
Hmm. I think Len going for the mediums was a smarter strategy because he's going to be able to go to the softs. And because of the gap they've built back to P4, he'll probably slot in about at the back of that pack. And when you're on fresh softs versus worn hards, it's going to just be easy pickings. You could even dive bombing, maybe even get 2 cars in one. You know, it's not going to be too difficult. But, of course, he wants to stretch that lead. You know, that's near on 8 seconds now in the, you know, he's over 8 seconds in the lead of this race. If he can make that closer to maybe 15 seconds, if he could make that closer to, you know, sort of double that roughly, that might work with him actually in the end. That would work for him. Looking at one driver though who has disappointed me slightly here tonight, and there is one driver who has disappointed me very slightly, and that is ultimately the man of Z6. He's not made as much progression as we thought he would.
I expect him to be on the podium, maybe top 4.
I think he's gotten knocked down a bit by drivers around him and also battling, but I don't think he can blame all of... I don't think if he tried to, I don't think he could blame all of that just purely on this. XPG, of course, went from being on a podium fight to now...
3 seconds.
Like I was saying, Z6, you know, he went from being on a podium, you know, XPG on for a great podium, or at least P4 and P5 was where they were at one point at the start of the race. 10 laps later, you know, 10, 12 laps later, they're sitting P6 and P18, those 2 same drivers. No XPG inside of the top 5, I do believe it is.
Bielkowski set the fastest lap there.
Bielkowski. Good lap from Bielkowski, but he's on the medium tyres, which means he is going to go to the end of the race on these tyres. But remember, by the end, they're going to be worn. And again, it will be easy pickings for other drivers. And he still finds himself near on 10 seconds behind Tondis. And so, you know, he's a far way back. And I don't think, if I'm being honest, points are really on the table for Bielkowski, because by the time that they do get to their pit stops, he's only going to be sitting maybe 10 seconds in front of them after the pit stops. You know, even if we say, you know, 8 seconds in front, that's going to be easy pickings when they close up to him incredibly quickly, because the leaders are going to pit right out in front of him. They're going to be just behind or right out in front, as Kuchars once again returns to the lead of the race, side-by-side racing between Josh Rose and the man of Len. This is a 3-way battle in the Constructors. It is very close, but it is ultimately interesting. AERO versus POR versus ultimately the team of LR. It's very interesting tonight. You can't lie. You know, the way that this top 3 battle is going on, all of them almost entirely assured a podium, yet none of them assured a win. Only one can do it, and at the moment, the man who is doing it correctly is Kuchars, who's actually pulling away to almost half a second, by the way. So he's actually pulled away really well. Bit of a poor village from Josh Rose and Len. But it's, I think what maybe these guys are hoping for, and I think everybody on the hard or even medium tires like Len are hoping for, is a safety car. I think, let's be honest, they're hoping for another safety. Oh, contact! Down the inside, Len sends it. He almost loses the car off the exit. He does cause contact with Josh Rose. And this is allowing Kuchars, by the way, to have the biggest lead anyone has had in this race. That's the biggest lead. 9/10 in the lead is the biggest lead we've had during racing, during any action going on. Pretty crazy. 9.5 tenths. Maybe have they gotten DRS? I think they have gotten DRS, but just about. But now I think Josh Rose and Len have got to work together to close that gap back up. But luckily, Josh Rose does have a decent amount of straight line speed to catch back up. But you can see a third retirement. Saliba ultimately retiring. He spent about 10 laps, I think, going around on his own, hasn't he? He spent quite a while.
Yeah, I think that's quite boring.
To be fair, you are right. That is quite a boring race. Z6 battling for a top 5 place. He's trying to go for it. Look at this, almost 3 wide. It's the chicane. But still, Smithy, going off track is where Z6 is having to go. But look at him, he's dropping down the order. Tartarsaur's also trying to get him at the same time. He's trying to make a move up into P8. But ultimately, you have to see Z6 now drops down to P8. And XPG's day is just going from bad to worse to just awful at this rate.
What was that from the V car?
I think that was the Red Bull it was, actually. It was Tondis, I do think it is. Yes, it was Tondis who had a massive wobble along with his teammate as well. Tondis struggling. XPG not having a good day at the moment. 9th and 11th, along with, I think, 8th,
Yeah.
9th, 11th, and DNF is where they sit here tonight. So it's been a very rough night for them at the moment, only on for 6 points versus their previous race, where they ultimately got P1, P2, and P3. You know, they scored an absolute huge amount of points last race. I believe they scored 60, if I stand correct. They scored 59 or 60 points. I believe it was 59 points that they scored, 59 or 58, 58 that is actually, that they scored last race alone. Which is very interesting to see, isn't it? That from, last race to this race, they've gone from sort of 59 to only on their way at the moment to scoring just 6 points. Maybe showing that XPG have some problems when they're racing against everybody in a bigger lobby when there's 20 drivers compared to 12. Maybe they struggle a bit more out on track. Now, you can see Z6 hunting down Kill Yasko. Yellow flag, that's a Williams, that's Clips has actually gone off. He's gone off track there.
Yeah.
Still, like I said, it's all around the outside. Z6 is going for it. Over the curve, clambers, does the Haas of Kill Yasko, but still unable to make a move, Z6. It's really frustrating, I think. He's dropped down the order a few places because of going off track, of course, off of the final corner. And now he's unable to make up those positions back because the front guys are fighting very heavily. But I have to say, the man who is impressing me here tonight is Gigi. He is impressing me to unholy amounts. He finished, what was it? I think he finished last or 19th in qualifying. So he started all the way back. If we actually look at his...
It was last.
Yeah, last place he started, and he's now 5th. SET, they went from having 9 points, by the way, before Saudi Arabia, to then scoring, I believe it was, God knows how many points. I believe it was 50 points or something. I think they scored 50 points the next race.
In Spain, they scored like 1 point for P10.
Yeah, they haven't really done a lot. Their best position before... Oh, bit of a spin!
Oh,
That's Alexander Delnick that's gone round. Half spin there. He does save it, but he finds himself a bit of a way off of the top 10 now. But that's now 3 points finishes now for XPG. But still, only the lowest of positions. Only 7 points to come their way. But you see, this is what I mean by this. This isn't a good result for XPG.
no.
They said we're back in the title fight. They said,
P5?
yeah, they're back in the title. They said they were back in the title fight, but they're only scoring 7 points at the moment. 7 points isn't going to gain them a position because I believe they're 20 points off of 4th in the constructors. They're 20 points off of 4th. So they're barely going to make any inroads. They're going to make slight inroads on HDL, who are 4th, who aren't racing here tonight and did not race last week either. But it is very small inroads, and it's, it's 7 points closer, but it still leaves them 13 points behind. And that's for P4 in the constructors, so I don't think a title charge is really on for them. But I don't think a title charge is really on for TIR here tonight either.
What car are they in? Because they've got people in their car
yeah,
as well,
because they've had they're P13, P15. Let me have a look at the lineups, actually, because I'll have a look at the lineups. That makes more sense if I do that. Let me find their lineup to begin with. Some action heading down. Nobody making moves. Everybody's
That's
gonna
another
look
3
quiet.
second time penalty.
Interesting. It's Ethan, who I'm not sure who. Rust, Bolt, and Trusted. So I don't know who Ethan is exactly. He might have...
Ethan, is that Bushy Bush? No.
No, could it be Sten? Maybe Sten. I don't know. I actually don't have a clue. We'll figure it out as the race goes on.
Yeah.
It might be...
It might. Tondis?
No, he's XPG. Yeah, we'll have to... Maybe... Yeah, Gioni retires.
Retired in the pits or on track?
In the pits. In the pits.
Yeah.
Nice and calm. I think it might have been Mehan and Sten. Maybe. I'm actually not sure. I have to figure this out after the
Merham
race.
was one of my drivers.
Ah, okay. It's a Sten. It might be Sten. I'll have to figure out. Who their drivers are because it's really difficult when they don't have the team name, or the same name as they do on Discord. Always very difficult. Making their way around. GG. We've been watching GG for a while. He's P6 at the moment. Still another 8 points. GG gets a 3-second time penalty. Those 8 points aren't going to be 8 points for much longer. They're going to be probably sitting around 2 points after tonight. Z6 trying to make a move on the Haas. Unable to make a move, though. And now there's a bit of battling between teammates. But quite interesting still to see that there's a good mix of battling going on between everybody. Tartar Sauce, by the way, going past Z6, who just lets him by in the end. Z6 really being outperformed by everybody. Tondis retires. He's done. He clearly doesn't see his race going on any further. That's a retirement for XPG. And I think that is all of... They've only got 2 drivers left now. So from a race of brilliance, a race of brilliant performance, P1, P2, and P3, they're now sitting ultimately P8 and P9, only on for 6 points here tonight now, after everything. And that's got to be a hard pill to swallow. It's got to be a really hard pill to swallow. But the hard pill to swallow is for Len. He's found himself from possibly winning to being 3.5 seconds off of the top 2. The battle really reducing now from... I think Len will finish P3, though.
Yeah, his tyres will be dying as well.
Yeah, they are dying, but I think he will finish P3 because he's only really done 16 laps by the end of this race. 16, 17 laps on these tyres. So I think he'll just make it, but I think P3 is where LR is going to have to take up. But, I mean, it's still P3, to be fair. Yeah. It's still a P3 finish.
Good enough.
Yeah, it's...
Unless the top 2 crash.
Maybe. We'll have to see. Looking at POR, though, POR's title attempt, one of their drivers is done, I think. One of their drivers is done, because there's Oliver, who I have not seen. Kuchar's, Bush, and Smithy. So Smithy P5, Kuchar's is P2. We know where Bush is. He's P4. So at the moment, they're looking really strong. They're looking really good. And Robbie, of course, I believe it is, that's P15. So they're looking for a really big finish. 18. They're taking on 30. Wow, they're taking on 40 points here tonight, which is, I think, the most points out of any team. I believe that is the biggest points out of any team. And that's surprising, in my opinion, that they're working together as teammates. You can't lie. They're working quite well together as teammates, and they're bringing home the big points. They're still giving racing to each other, but they're bringing home the big points here tonight. And I think that's going to be the interesting one, is that they are going to be bringing home, these 3 out of top 5, are all going to be big points finishers. Bielkowski, by the way, making his move up into P9, but he's on his own. He's now got another 2 seconds to close up to the next few drivers. And one of them is his teammate Kilyasko, who's also in the Haas. He's catching by a decent amount now. He is catching by quite a bit, but he is pushing hard. And he really wants to catch these guys.
To catch up, though.
He's going to catch up, but he is wearing out his tires, and he is dragging along Tartar Sauce with him as well. Which is the only problem, is he is dragging another driver along. With GG as well, with his penalty, will allow Bielkowski to go up into P8 as it is. So he is still going to gain another position from it. So AERO having a pretty decent, sort of return, getting those 25 points, getting a big return, cementing their third in the Constructors. I think that will very much cement their third in the Constructors after this race. Maybe even get second because TIR is struggling. We'll have to see, of course, as the race goes round. But with, AERO, it's so difficult. AERO, you've got POR, who are both performing incredibly well, but our championship leaders, TIR, I think they've
not really done much this race, to be honest.
I think the closest driver to that is Trusted. Or it could be Tartar Sauce.
Oh, Lenz gets a 3 seconds.
That's not going to matter at the moment because he is 10 seconds in front of Bushy. He is 10 seconds in front, so he's okay. He is okay for the moment. And he is actually making that lead bigger, by the way. So he is making these tyres last, to be honest. I think he's maybe held up on them slightly the last few laps to maybe give them some life towards the end so they don't catch him up at the end of the race. I think that's sort of the strategy he's gone for. Maybe he's gone for that strategy. I'm not 100% sure, but it's all down to sort of your perspective of strategy. I would probably, if I was being his strategist and telling him what to do and being his engineer, I'd probably have told him to save his tyres for the end and make sure that, you just bring it home. And it's not like particularly Kuchas and Josh Rose have run away with this either. They're 6 seconds ahead. Yeah, they're 6 seconds ahead, but to be honest, they're only 6 seconds ahead. That's now reduced to 5. That's coming down very quickly. But you see what I mean by it? Yeah, that's now 4 seconds. But for especially a guy who's on medium tyres that have completely gone, that's not too bad.
If he went to them hards, I think it would be a three-way battle right now.
Yeah, I think it would, but it's still a two-way battle for the lead. Josh Rose has been leading most of this, by the way, since Len dropped outside of the top 3. He's been leading, I think, pretty much the last sort of, 6 out of the last 8 laps he's actually led, by the way, which is quite a large amount. So he's racking up some laps led for AERO here tonight. Let's see what he's going to do down the hangar straight. There's a yellow flag. That is for TIR Trusted. Into Stowe Corner. He leads still. So another lap to gain for AERO in their laps led this season. At the end of the season, by the way, we're going to be counting the laps led by every team in each championship. And then we're going to see who's had the most. So it's going to be quite an interesting final race, isn't it, to see who's had the most laps led.
Okay.
And now, here comes Josh Rose to start the final lap. Lap 26 of lap 26. We've got some battling further back, but I'm going to be watching the front because this is where the huge 25 points can be scored and the victory for either team of POR or AERO can take place. Now, Josh Rose making his way round down to this straight, to the Wellington straight. He goes. It's a bit of a shorter straight than the hangar straight. Quite a bit shorter, only about 3/4 of the length. But he makes his way round and still Kuchas finds himself near on 4.5 tenths, near on 5 tenths or half a second behind. Now, making his way round left field, he goes. Now, heading up towards Copse Corner, fastest corner on the entire circuit. Flat out, of course, in these cars. He goes flat out. Smithy dropping down the order. Smithy's round. So is Bulkowski, I believe. There's been some contact further back, but we've got to watch this battle because Josh Rose and Kuchas are right near each other. They are right on top of each other right now. Here they go. Round Maggots and Beckett's now heading down the hangar straight they go. Josh Rose deploying all of the ERS he's got. Kuchas deploying all of the ERS he's got. Moving out of the slipstream. Now into Stowe Corner they go. Kuchas leads round Stowe. He leads. Let's see. Is there going to be battling into the chicane? No, there won't be. Josh Rose has to watch his victory walk away from him through the final corner. Kuchas wins in 4s in Silverstone in round 8 of the season. What a win for POR here tonight, and a win they needed. Len finishes 3rd, a podium for LR once again this season. Z6, though, going to be on the podium, 12 points for XPG. Bushy Bush P5. Kirill Yasko's going to finish 6th with Bielkowski in 7th, Smithy 8th, Alexander Delnick in 9th, and Tartasaurus finishing 10th. GG finishes outside of the top 10. Clips is 12th with Trusted and Rusted Bolt, and then Robbie Jacobs waiting. He's swerving down the straight, by the way. That's what Robbie Jacobs is doing. He's making his way around. I think he's happy that his teammate has won the race. But what an end to the race here in Silverstone. There's a yellow flag. I think that's Robbie Jacobs. Kuchas, what a win. What a win. Last lap, last straight. Exactly what he needed. And exactly what POR need. Because based off of, I believe at the moment, my current idea is that POR might have just taken the lead of the constructors with 2 races to go. TIR having a stressful day, shall we say. They've had a very stressful day for the team. Yeah, bit of an odd one. Bit of an odd one, certainly.
It was a good race, an exciting one as well. It wasn't boring. A good battles in the back, in the midfield there, and out the front. Also, very good battling until the mediums dropped off.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. It happens though. I think the racing was good at the end, and I think the drivers were just trying to heal their tyres, make sure they last, and to be honest, we'd all do the same in the position they were in. But let's go through the ultimate grid order here tonight. Kuchar's from second row of the grid to go on to win. It's a win for Piroir here tonight. Followed by Josh Rose for AERO. Then followed by Len in third. It might have been pole, but it wasn't meant to be. But it is still P3 and on the podium. Z6 is in fourth, followed by Bushy Bush in fifth. Kirill Yasko sixth. Bielkowski in seventh. Smithy eighth. Alexander Delnick ninth. And Tartar finishing out the top 10. GG is in 11th, followed by Clips, TIR Trusted, Rusted Bolt, Robbie Jacobs, and Tom. Then our retirements are Tondis, Gioni, Saliba, and Mehan, followed by then, finally and lastly, Sten, who also retired. I'm not sure which teams they were on, so do not ask me. But what a night it was. What an interesting race. Very much. So, I'm going to ask you, TJ, what is who is your driver of the day? You've got to give a driver.
My driver of the day has got to be the guy's name we can't pronounce. Going from P20, I don't know where he finished in the end.
P11.
P11. It's got to be him, even though he didn't score in the points.
Oh, fair enough. I do want to give it to him, but for me, it's just got to be one other man, and that can only really be one other man, and that is ultimately, in my opinion, Kirill Yasko. He pulled it out of nowhere. He very much did the same as GG. Ultimately, with that out of the way, it is time to have one last look at the calendar before then we say our goodbyes. Let's have a look at that calendar. Bahrain, we've now completed round 1 in Bahrain, followed by Qatar, Netherlands, China, Monza, Spain, Saudi Arabia, and now round 8 in Great Britain. Yes, round 8, we only have 2 more races left of this season of 4s, finishing on the 15th of the 9th with Brazil and then Austria for round 10 and the finale. We've got 2 exciting races, 2 very fast tracks, 2 short tracks as well, below the 1 minute, I believe below the 1 minute 8s for each of them, below the 1 minute 7s as well. Yes. So very fast tracks, I must say. 2 of the, I believe, the shortest tracks on the calendar for lap time wise. So we've got very short tracks coming up next. Ultimately, thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I hope you've had an absolutely amazing night. Please think about subscribing and leaving a like. I don't know what goal we have. Tell me at the end of the season what goal you think we should have for Season 3. Let me know. Ultimately, thank you, TJ, for joining us.
Thank you,
for joining me.
Having me. Yeah.
And also, thank you to all the drivers and managers who do make this possible, because without them, we wouldn't have any racing. Also, thank you to all the commentators, moderators, everybody. They really do make this possible here in FRLT. Ultimately, once again, thank you so much. Also, just a quick reminder, make sure to click on that notification bell to know about all of the content we upload, stream, and all of the shorts we create, because they are magical. So make sure to go and see them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon on Tuesday, I believe. On Tuesday for Tier 1. For Tier 1. I'm going to see you then. Ultimately, thank you so much, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye. And Sundays, but here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights.
have you learned? I was programmed to beat you.